this morning to our conversation about climate change and food and the choices we make. Thanks very much to PAX for having us here. I'm going to speak for a couple of minutes. I'm Cathriona from the Edible Landscape Project, and McKinley is going to speak then after myself. So thanks for coming, as I said. So really, I'm from the Edible Landscape Project. We're a grassroots movement based here in Westport. And we're engaging the local community in a conversation about climate change and specifically how our food choices affect climate change. So in the last, before Christmas, the UN report came out on climate change, and basically what it said was we have a short window of 10 to 12 years to act before we get to the point where we have runaway climate change, and it's too late to actually act. And it really is quite a crucial time in our existence, because we have this short window. I know since Christmas I've been talking to people, a lot of people don't know what to do. They feel quite powerless. Is it the government that should be, giving us solutions? What are the solutions? And in fact, there actually are quite a number of solutions. We have got to step back to see what the problem is before we can see how climate change is affected by our food choices. So, what I would say about, let's look at the problem. So the problem is the food system that we have created over the last 70 years, since the end of the Second World War, whereby we have created this hugely complex, industrialized, globalized food system where food is created and grown for us in all four corners of the world. So, at any point in time, we are used to buying food from anywhere on the earth. We can get our grapes at Christmas, we can get our tomatoes coming in from Chile, we can get potatoes, we can get carrots. I'm actually going to get an apple here that we got that's come from, this has come from Argentina. So it's really good to trace how this has got here. So this apple has come from Argentina. It was conventionally grown in Argentina and brought locally. So what we do with the Edible Landscape Project is we look at the embedded energy in the food that we buy. So a conventionally grown apple will have had a colossal amount of energy required to grow it. So for example, the apple tree that this has come from in Argentina will have had energy input in terms of the pesticide, the fertilizer, fungicide to actually create it. And all of those chemical inputs require energy, and they are actually part of the embedded energy of the finished product. When we look at an organically grown apple, there's absolutely very little chemicals used to grow this. So the difference between the two in terms of the energy required to grow them is phenomenal. And that is how all our food is grown. Now, the majority of our food that comes to us is very heavy in energy usage. So, and alongside the energy that goes into the food, we have created this transport system whereby, we have food grown in the four corners of the earth that is supplied to us, but also it has to be transported to us. So we have planes, trains, automobiles, we have ships 3 or 4 times the size of Croke Park that are carrying our food to us. And the fuel that is required to bring the food to us, again, that is more energy. So the more we look at it, the more conventional food, the system that we have created over the last 70 years is very, very energy intensive. And just to be aware that the energy that is required actually emits greenhouse gases into the air, and that is what causes climate change. So what's the alternative? So that's the problem. So let's look at the solution. So since 2012, we decided in 2012, Edible Landscape Project, what are we going to do about this? So we decided we're going to create an edible landscape. We're going to grow edibles along the greenway between Westport and Achill. And in the process, we are going to teach people how to become climate smart and how to become really aware of the energy that's involved in the food that they grow. So instead of using vast amounts of energy, we're teaching people how to grow food with low amounts of energy. So one of the techniques we've been using, and we are using in our workshops, is showing people how to grow food in a climate smart way, in a low energy way, using one of the techniques we use is called agroforestry. So that's a very sustainable technique. You don't use chemicals, you don't use pesticides, you don't use fertilizers. a lot of people kind of have come to this point in time where they think they have to use those kind of things. You don't actually need them. So teaching people how to grow in a climate smart way using low inputs, and teaching people how to consume food in a climate smart way. So how can we consume food? And also this will be part of our Edible Landscape Project workshops. We consume food by, what are the alternatives? Can we source from local growers? There are a number of local growers in the town. We have Joe Kelly, who comes down to the VUC once a week with his veg box. He's local, he is chemical free, so it's very low energy intensity in terms of what we're receiving. Aoife and Joe from Glossary, they are up in the Octagon on a Saturday. They provide box deals of food. That is one alternative. We all need to start looking at this. We need to start insisting, can we go into our local cafes, our restaurants and pubs and start asking people, can you please, put more locally grown food, low energy food on your menus? The multiplier effect of this would be colossal at a local level. And people in Westport are very open to this, and it's happening more and more. The other thing that we can do, and in the VEC at the moment what we're trying to do is set up a very small market garden, so that the students are, and some of them here today, so sowing seeds, and hopefully that will be sowing the seeds for a local garden, that eventually we will get to the point where we have a local market garden in Westport that people can buy their food from, low energy. So what the Edible Landscape Project is doing is we're putting our energy into showing people how to use much less energy in terms of food production, because all the energy that's going into conventional food production as it stands is emitting greenhouse gases into the atmosphere and is causing climate change. That is a huge problem. We need to change this. The multiplier effect, as I said, is massive. At a local level, we can do a lot. We all need to start looking at our energy inputs. We can do it. We need to start taking the power back. Thanks very much.
So, welcome to Tax again. Thanks very much for coming, and I'd like to thank you all. I see a lot of faces. I've seen quite a lot already buying package free, and that's where I'll pick up on Catrina's thread of the energy required to produce what we call more modern food. So, we would have before 70 years ago been growing quite a lot of our own staples. We would have also been trading for staples the way that we are presenting them to you now. So in larger quantities, unpackaged. It's really been in the last 50 years that we've ramped up this additional stream of energy to package foods that frankly don't need to be packaged or could be packaged in a much more friendly way. There's no reason why Kirstin and I needed to set up necessarily a shop like this, except for other powers that be, the other commercial interests are not interested in selling food in a way that's accessible to people. It's really beneficial to them to package it, to put a brand on it, and to market it to you as something fundamentally different and special, and charge you more for that. It's been really eye-opening for us to see the prices that we can pay for a 25 kg bag of organic food, and we often have comments from customers, this must be too cheap. Please, rest assured we are getting a markup, but we are also not trying to gouge our consumers on something like a brand or a packaging. And I'd like to just highlight that. I often talk to people in the shop about the fact that this is organic food, but we don't spend money on the cheap plastic package for it, and we also don't pay people to either fill it by hand or use machines that require a lot of energy input as well, such as petroleum, to get it in the packaged form that you're used to. And we often have consumers come in with their own packaging, and we have some mishaps where people try to open a shampoo bottle or a food package and they can't actually refill it, because those packages are designed to be totally expendable, not even to be recycled, and we as consumers have to deal with that. And so what we have is organic food that we're committed to chemical free for everything that we can get, and so I'd say 98% of what we have is chemical free, and we're always looking for more options. And we're looking for things that, you know, are more in their natural state. So even dried fruits, we have people asking about the apricots, for example, that, you know, why aren't they bright yellow like the ones we see in the shop? Well, because they're organic, they haven't been treated with sulfur dioxide, and that's why they look like that. But then, you know, you can use them for other things. Like we have a customer who makes water kefir. We can use things like this that are untreated to make more things because they don't have chemicals that will harm ourselves or other beneficial, you know, bacteria and things in the world. And I have some props here. So I'm showing you brown linseed or flaxseed. And it's interesting because here in Ireland there are a number of brands that sell it to you in a package because they sell it to you pre-milled. And so people ask, you know, what can I do with this linseed because it's whole? I'm not used to this. Well, you know, for quite a long time, we ate linseed that was not milled. And, you know, there is some argument for, you know, nutritionally available, but you can mill it with mortar and pestle. Yeah, I mill it at home in my coffee grinder because I have one. But the difference is, once something like brown linseed is milled, it's not shelf stable anymore. We can't sell it here. We have to then put even more energy into it, have to keep it in a package and keep it in the refrigerator once it's open. And so, you know, we are just trying to provide you, the consumers, with great foods that are as close to the natural state as possible, and that then complement the local foods that you can get. And so, you know, Kirstin and I are excited to announce, as Cathriona was mentioning some of our local farmers, we are going to be doing organic loose veg in the very near future once the season ramps up. So we're talking to veg farmers Joe Kelly and Aoife and Joe about the possibility of supplying us. This will soon be a veg stand. And so what we want to do is to provide you with the opportunity to get organic loose veg that is seasonal, is chemical free, and then that complements all of the other things that you can get in bulk chemical free from us. And so that's just a big commitment that we're making because it's in our own interest for our families to eat like that, and also we hope for local people as consumers to, you know, feel good about the money that they're spending, and also to buy just in the quantities that you need, so you're not creating food waste unnecessarily, which is also, you know, a huge source of energy. And, you know, after all of the processing, the fact that we're throwing things out also has a significant impact on the climate as well. So I think we're going to open it up to questions now. If there's anything, anyone, or observations, anything you want to say.
I think the importance of this message is that it's a positive message about how you can kind of take a little bit of the power back in a situation that seems quite powerless at an individual level. Because the idea of climate change itself is quite esoteric, it's kind of out there. It seems like somebody else is taking care of it. But in reality, it's individual actions, and then the actions of all those individuals together are going to make a change, I think, in terms of climate change. I think we have a very unique opportunity here in Ireland with a mild enough climate, although some of you would probably say in the west of Ireland it's maybe not mild enough, but we have a mild enough climate to grow lots of our own stuff without these huge sort of imports. I think we're probably going to get some sort of idea of that here in the next couple of months with you know, our trading partner in the UK, and seeing how that all pans out. And we really will get an idea of the amount of foods that are actually imported into Ireland and our dependencies forward and back between the two. So these conversations are about kind of opening the subject up at a local level, and then hopefully getting enough momentum to carry it a little further forward. So that's my sort of 2 and 6 bits.
Are the government happy about it?
I don't see that the government's reacting at all to this.
And the really interesting thing, when you speak to horticultural suppliers, they fall between two stools, whereas the farmers will get this, the single farm payment is in place, but most people who grow veg, it's a labour of love. You know, there aren't the grants there that should be there. And we really, the government supports the likes of the multinationals coming in, providing employment in Ireland in terms of the techie side of things. Our food is really important. So if there needs to be supports there, they need to be put in place as well. And that's a big gap, and we notice that more and more. There's a gap there for funding, and people come into horticulture, they start growing food, and they come out of it because they can't sustain their families.
One more question. Can we can't supply our own market, can we? We don't supply our own market with fruit and veg
In Westport,
in Ireland.
no.
No.
No, most of the food is
There's
imported.
potential there.
There is huge potential at every local level to do this. So what we're doing in Westport is actually very good. There's a good supply of local food and veg in Westport. We want to increase that, but we also want other towns to build up their local supply. And again, it's the multiplier effect.
And I think that's important for us. So we spend a lot of time looking for our suppliers for as many products as we can get. So we have some really nice organic rapeseed oil from Kilkenny. We have new ketchup, local honey. Kirstin obviously makes a lot of the food that we sell as well, which is great. Supplied, she uses seaweed from Donegal, so quite local as well. And that's something that we are spending time doing, but we have encountered the fact that a lot of these people who are interested in starting to grow their own food or something don't have the guarantee. It's not, the supermarkets spend a lot of money and time talking about, investing in food suppliers, but that's for processed food items, and they don't spend a lot of time developing local food on its own. And so that's something that, over the longer term, we are invested in, but we're going to have to partner with a few other similar shops across Ireland to say we have a market where we can take on so much if you're willing to take the risk to set up a food business and to support them more upfront.
I think the whole project of globalization has really made us dependent on food from everywhere else, and even other manufacturing and everything else. It's great to see some self-sufficiency coming back in again, and security, food security, clothing security, whatever it is. It's great to see that coming back a bit. Pat, would you consider planting a bit of wheat or barley in your patches?
I think about it now.
Yeah. Linseed, very easy.
Yeah, corn and maize now be it.
Because there's a perception out there that you can't grow these things in Ireland, and the farmers will tell you that, but it's not true. It's very easy.
Even
think
grow
Pat-
barley for the local beer. That's another option.
Yeah.
So instead of importing everything that's created here.
I think Pat's to be congratulated on his recent success.
Thank you, and great support, and thanks to you.
Good.
It's brilliant.
Also, for anyone who wants to read anything else about climate change, This Changes Everything by Naomi Klein is amazing, and it's available in the library.
Oh, great. Can I just make one more point, and that is really, there's been very few solutions put forward in terms of climate change. We're all hearing about it, but there's very few concrete solutions, and people are doing their best. There is a great project called Project Drawdown that Philip Boucher-Hayes did a great radio. You can get it on a podcast on RTE just before Christmas, and he actually itemises the energy, the solutions and the energy solution that they provide in terms of climate change. Food, actually, of the top 20 solutions, food comprises about a third of those. So we need to really stop flailing around and start taking these concrete solutions and working with them. Time is short, time is of the essence.
Good.
Cathriona, you spoke about that you're growing along the Greenway. Like, is there places where people can go to see these kind of community gardens or to learn more about growing their own food? Or?
Well, we run workshops, and Paula has there's an upcoming workshop from Edible Landscape on grafting, it'll be at the Key Community Centre. We have a small teaching garden there at the Key Community Centre, and we run food security workshops. So if you're interested in coming to a workshop, speak to Paula or myself, and follow the Edible Landscape Project page, because we put a lot of posts up on the Facebook page, or just contact us there.
Thank you.
And there's an Edible Landscape Project WhatsApp list for anybody that wants updates on climate conversations going forward, or any of the projects that the Edible Landscape is taking on in the local community. So you'll just get not very frequent sort of updates on it, but you'll get updates through there. So if anybody wants to sign up to that, you just come to me and I'll add you to the list.
And lastly, thank you so much, McKinley and Kirstin, for having us today. The first of our climate conversations. It's fantastic what you're doing here. Thank you. Thanks a lot.